This is CBS News Chicago.
Good Tuesday morning to you. I'm Jackie Kostek. Thanks so much for being with us. Time is running out to get your real ID. The deadline is tomorrow, and you can see the lines are long at the Loop Supercenter. They have been long for sure this morning. We're breaking down who actually needs one.
That's why I'm running for the United States Senate.
Another candidate throwing their name into next year's Senate race. The overnight announcement from Illinois Congresswoman Robin Kelly. And a live look at an event being hosted by the Chicago Urban League. It's releasing its 2025 State of Black Chicago report. But let's begin with your first alert forecast this morning, and it is a beautiful start to your Tuesday morning. We're looking out over the skyline, and let's bring in meteorologist Laura Bannon to talk about the good news of a great forecast. Laura.
Yeah, it's easy.
It is.
Smooth,
yeah,
finally. Yeah, the entire 7-day forecast looking very nice. We're lacking in the rain department and showing a good deal of sunshine. There's that live look over Lake Michigan here this morning. Waters are nice and calm. We will see a slight lake breeze today, but overall we've got nice weather across the entire area. Even right now as you make way to the 60s, a couple of areas a little cooler out toward LaPorte sitting at 55. All right, so we take a look at the radar and satellite. Remember this area of low pressure? I mean, how could you forget about it? We've been dealing with it since over the weekend. It's still off toward the east, and you can see that counterclockwise flow there. So we're going to pull in a couple of clouds, but I do expect us to stay mainly sunny here today. But overall, we're going to be trending warmer as highs go up into the 70s. Got a cold front coming to town tomorrow. We'll talk about those cooling changes and the warmer weekend forecast coming up.
Sounds good, Laura. Thanks so much. But let's begin with your nonstop news this morning. The countdown is now in its final hours. Starting tomorrow, travelers will need a real ID to board domestic flights or access some federal buildings. Our Darius Johnson is live at the Real ID Supercenter in the Loop this morning with what you need to know. Darius, another line check for us. How's it looking?
Hey there, Jackie. I'm not sure if you're able to see. Hey, Dino, they want to see what the line looks like. You can see people are still in line. Again, it started with about 5 people early this morning. It easily got into the hundreds. I even saw some coworkers in line, some of our photographers right here from CBS News Chicago. Again, it's recommended to double check before you even stand in this line because you may not even need a real ID. Take a look. Starting tomorrow, May 7th, the Transportation Security Administration will require a real ID or another form of acceptable identification for travel. Other forms include a passport, military ID, enhanced driver's license, or a global entry card. If you have any of those, you do not need to come get a real ID by tomorrow. Now, despite the long lead time, dozens of states are still behind on compliance. We are one of those states with only about 35% of residents who have one as of last month. But again, people have had many years to come and get one, so stop procrastinating.
Since the day we took office, we've been screaming from the rooftops for folks not to wait to the last minute to get their real ID.
I started to come tomorrow, but I said let me get it out the way today. But I've been procrastinating since last year.
To get a real ID, you will need a birth certificate or a passport, a document that has your social security number on it, like a social security card, W-2, or pay stub. And lastly, you will have to prove your residency using a piece of mail, a bank statement, or insurance. Back out here live this morning, this super center will be open throughout the rest of the week. They're open Monday through Friday and even past that. But the Monday through Friday hours are 7:30 until 5 p.m. Of course, if you come here to fill out that paperwork to get a real ID, you will still have to wait another 2 to 3 weeks before you receive it in the mail. We're live here at the Supercenter in the Loop. I'm Darius Johnson. Ladies, sending things back to you all.
Darius, thank you so much. Just me on the desk here at 9, but appreciate your time. All right. Another candidate throwing their hat in the ring for Illinois' open U.S. Senate seat. Congresswoman Robin Kelly announced this morning that she is running.
But our situation now, this is a whole different moment. That's why I'm running for the United States Senate, to fight for health care that doesn't bankrupt families, for wages that lift people up, for housing that's affordable, for neighborhoods safe from gun violence. These are the issues and the people I'm fighting for.
Kelly Kelly has represented the 2nd District in the House of Representatives since 2013. She also briefly served as the chair of the state Democratic Party from 2021 to 2022. The only other candidate in the Democratic race so far is Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, who launched her campaign the day after Dick Durbin announced that he would not run for re-election. After more than 25 years in Congress, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky now says that next year will be her last representing the city's north side and the north and northwest suburbs. The announcement came less than 24 hours ago, but there are already 2 candidates ready to replace her. State Senator Laura Fine announced her campaign on social media this morning, saying that she wants working families to have a voice in Washington. TikTok influencer Kat Abugazaleh already declared her run, saying that she's fighting for Americans who are struggling to afford basic needs. The 80-year-old says she made her final decision in the last few days. She said she's most proud of helping pass the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Schakowsky said defeating Trumpism is her focus on her final 18 months in office.
Our job right now is to help the Republicans to understand that they are losers if they stick with Trump. I'm going to keep fighting for a year and a half and beyond.
Schakowsky is not endorsing anyone yet to replace her. Other rumored candidates include Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss and State Representative Kelly Cassidy. After years of volatility, there is a new leader in South Suburban Dolton. Jason House was sworn in as mayor last night, replacing embattled and now former Mayor Tiffany Henyard. He made a campaign promise to be more transparent than the Henyard administration. He faces an uphill battle to get the village out of the red, and there's still an ongoing federal probe as well. A live look now from venue 610 in the Loop, where the Chicago Urban League is holding its annual policy summit. They're releasing their 2025 State of Black Chicago report. It's focusing on ways to build Black wealth in Chicago. It's not just about the information, the data, but also looking to solutions to encourage public and private partnerships to help fill the gap. The State of Black Chicago report outlines areas to help increase Black prosperity in the city in areas like housing, education, and the workforce. But this morning, Urban League President and CEO Karen Freeman Wilson told us that it's not about one group doing the work.
We really have to have cross-collaborative work. And so we focus on home ownership, we focus on entrepreneurship. We have to start early with financial education.
To learn more about the Chicago Urban League and today's report, you can visit shyul.org. Fallen Chicago police officer Ariana Preston will be honored at a memorial roll call tonight. You may remember that she was shot and killed during an attempted robbery right outside of her home in Avalon Park. This happened on this day 2 years ago. She was just days away from receiving her master's degree from Loyola University. The memorial roll call is at 6 o'clock tonight at the 5th District Police Station. Well, President Donald Trump is hosting Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney today. Trade is expected to be a big focus of their talks. As Naomi Ruckham explains, it comes just a couple of days after the president threatened new tariffs that could stifle the movie industry.
Today at the White House, President Trump meets for the first time with Canada's new Prime Minister Mark Carney amid his growing trade war.
I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does.
I will fight for the best deal for Canada.
Then there's the president's new threat to impose 100% tariffs on movies made outside of the U.S.
I'm not looking to hurt the industry. I want to help the industry.
White House officials say no final decisions have been made, but the announcement stunned Hollywood.
Everybody's very afraid, that's for sure. Everybody's very worried.
Also Monday, the Trump administration announced a program offering $1,000 and free airline tickets to undocumented migrants who want to voluntarily leave the U.S.
If you leave on your own, you can take advantage of legal programs, come back.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration has upped its battle with Harvard University, cutting off new federal research grants unless the Ivy League school meets its demands. Harvard sued the federal government over a previous funding freeze. In a statement, Harvard said the administration's terms would impose unprecedented and improper control over the university. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Sean Diddy Combs will be back in court today as jury selection continues in his federal sex trafficking trial. You're taking a live look at the courthouse in New York. By the end of day one, the jury pool was half its size. Many potential jurors were excluded because of their opinions or past experiences would make it tough for them to be objective. Others were not able to be available for the trial, which is expected to last for 2 months. More jurors will be questioned today, and a full jury is not expected to be chosen until tomorrow. Opening statements are scheduled for next week. Jurors are expected to start deliberating in the trial of 3 former Memphis police officers charged with beating Tyree Nichols to death. That happened after a traffic stop in 2023. The officers are charged with second-degree murder. They have all pleaded not guilty to state charges, but they already face the possibility of years in prison after they were convicted of federal charges last year. Now we head to Vatican City in Italy. This is where the conclave will meet tomorrow to begin selecting a new pope. The cardinal electors will start with a procession to the Sistine Chapel, where they'll take their oaths before the formal voting process will begin. Their support staff took an oath of secrecy today at the nearby Pauline Chapel. That includes cooks, cleaners, maintenance, medical, and clergy staff. The oath is required for anyone who helps out at the conclave, and anyone who breaks the oath faces excommunication. Once the cardinals begin the conclave, they will be sequestered. They'll vote multiple times a day and need 2/3 majority to secure a replacement for Pope Francis, who died a couple of weeks ago. Well, we've been talking about the Real ID deadline, and next we're talking live with a TSA leader about what to expect at our country's airports. And Black history on display at last night's Met Gala. A look back at some of the looks for fashion's biggest night and how celebrities showed up for that theme.
And things are warming up in the First Alert Weather Department, but we are tracking a cold front and some cooling changes for the week. We'll talk more about the ups and downs coming up after the break.
Time is nearly up, so beginning tomorrow, the Transportation Security Administration will start enforcing the long-awaited federal ID requirements. And that means the Real ID is a very real thing if you want to travel. The law was put into place nearly 2 decades ago, but implementing it has been met with repeated delays. But that's all over tomorrow. So let's bring in our guest. We went straight to the top to dispel any of the rumors associated with the Real ID. Joining us live now is the Acting Deputy Administrator of the TSA, Adam Stahl. Deputy Stahl, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Let's just talk about what exactly the Real ID is, because I feel like there are still folks out there, even though we've been talking about it for years now, who are still like, what the heck is this and why does it matter? So what exactly is it and why does it matter?
Sure. So Real ID is really an enhanced form of state-issued identification. And this was a law passed in the wake of 9/11. It was identified as a key vulnerability. And this is really all about augmenting and ensuring really elevating the document integrity of passengers nationwide. So this is really critical. This administration and the Secretary believes this is critical to really ensuring the safety and the security of our skies.
Got it, which is so important. For those who have maybe not heeded the advice of getting a Real ID and they potentially will show up to the airport today or moving forward without a Real ID, what will they be met with at the TSA?
So every airport is, of course, different. Wait times are different, dynamics are different. But if you have a compliant form of ID, we are confident there will be no adverse impacts to you at the checkpoint. If you have a state-issued non-compliant form of identification, you'll be okay, you'll get through. You may be subject to additional wait times or screening. So we really ask folks or urge folks, if you don't have a Real ID or a sufficient alternative, if you have that non-compliant state-issued ID, to please cushion in some time for yourself when traveling via commercial air.
That's fair. And what are the other acceptable forms of ID aside from the Real ID?
So the most common ones are passport, military ID card, a trusted traveler card like global entry. For a fulsome list, for the full list, we do urge you to reach out to your local DMV or visit tsa.gov for more information in terms of what's a sufficient alternative.
Lovely. Deputy Stahl, is there anything else that you want to make sure that you communicate with folks this morning? I know that we had our Secretary of State on our show earlier this morning, and he was saying that there is this slight grace period and the fact that people can still get their real IDs tomorrow and beyond. It doesn't necessarily have to be today unless you plan to travel or enter federal buildings. But is there anything else that you want to make sure you communicate with folks?
Yeah, maybe two things. One, so to your point, enforcement begins tomorrow, so you can continue to get your real ID in the weeks ahead, and we encourage people to do so. Two, if you don't have a sufficient form of real ID, if you don't have a real ID or sufficient alternative, if you have that state non-compliant ID, you will be okay. You will be able to get through. But we do again caution that you may be subject to additional screening measures, additional time possibly at the airport. So please do plan ahead. And in the meantime, if you don't have your ID, your real ID, please go out and do enroll as soon as you can.
Absolutely. Acting Deputy Administrator of the TSA, Adam Stahl, thank you so much for joining us this morning on this final day before this all goes into effect officially.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Okay, have a good day. All right, joined now by meteorologist Laura Bannon. Laura, we are looking outside at Daley Plaza right now, and it's so bright and sunshiny.
I know.
We appreciate that. We need it.
Yes,
in our
we've
lives.
been needing this for some time.
Yes.
Here's a Daley Plaza look too. Blue skies.
There it
look
is.
down Washington. Really, really nice conditions out there. We're going to be seeing a lot of this for the coming days. Here's another look outside with the blue sky over DeKalb this morning. This is all thanks to NIU Meteorology. Love showing off these beautiful cameras every morning. Now today we're getting a nice warming turn. We're going to be looking at a slight lake breeze, but you're going to hear cooler lakeside a lot this week, especially tomorrow as we get to lake enhanced cold front in here, and that's really going to drastically drop those temperatures throughout the day, especially in the afternoon all the way into the evening. Overall this week, I mean, we've got some minor rain chances here, talking 10% tomorrow with all those changes, and then potentially some sprinkles again by Saturday. But no big rains in the forecast. Eventually talking about some big time numbers in the temperature department by end of the weekend and early next week. 74 for the daytime high today. Lakeside, a little bit cooler, not much of a spread there. Upper 60s, low 70s. In the Loop today, 70 degrees, 76 Aurora, McHenry, 74 DeKalb, upper 60s, low 70s to Northwest Indiana. Nice night tonight. Few passing clouds, mainly clear, cool and comfortable. The low 53 degrees. Tomorrow, that's when we'll start talking changes. So we're going to be looking at a quick warm up in the morning hours, going for a high of 68 degrees. But as I move ahead through time, look at the hour by hour change, and then we start to see our rainbow map, as I like to call it. By midday, 12 o'clock, I've got to stop right here. You can see the cooling changes already taking shape out toward O'Hare, Midway, out ahead of that front, warm in the 70s. I do expect these temperatures to drop quickly into the 50s, especially lakeside where the afternoon, even the model's really not even keeping up with that. But we'll see those temperatures really drop, a blustery feel for tomorrow afternoon, giving way at least for some cooler days in the short term. But overall, when we look at that long range pattern, things are promising to be warmer than normal for a couple of weeks here across Chicago. 7-day forecast, weekend forecast, beautiful. Sunny skies, 60s and 70s, low to mid 70s through Saturday, Sunday, potentially getting close to 80 for the weekend. We do hit the 80s by Monday. Much of next week, sunny, dry, and summer-like. Chris.
Like it. Love it. And we don't have any rain, really, to speak of. And you know what that does? That brings out lots of road work, so kind of get ready for that. We also have some challenges that have cropped up on the Dan Ryan. First of all, let's talk about some of this road work here. This is the westbound side of Interstate 80. It's a parking lot from US 30 over into Joliet, as promised, every day this week and then next week as well. From 8:30 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon, I-80 over the Des Plaines River is going to have at least one lane closed there to inspect the bridge, and that's what's happening on the westbound side right now, so plan accordingly there. As we get back to the core expressways, brand new crash, motorcycle down. 2 left lanes are blocked on the inbound side of the Ryan at 87th. Brand new crash, southbound I-55, just right around the Bolingbrook truck scales, about halfway between 53 and Weber Road. 2 left lanes are also blocked there, so be careful. Chris Habermill, CBS News Chicago.
Good to know, Chris. Thanks so much. Well, next, it is a night for custom couture and high-end fashion. We've got a recap of last night's Met Gala and the theme celebrating designers. And for today's Jumpstart, we're at a local farm where animals and nature are part of therapy sessions. We'll see you after the break. Black style was on display last night during the Met Gala as celebrities gathered to raise money for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The theme specifically highlighted black designers and style with a focus on menswear. CBS News correspondent Naomi Ruckham has the stunning looks that you may have missed.
81-year-old music legend Diana Ross dominated the blue carpet Monday night. Her all-white 18-foot train featuring the embroidered names of her kids and grandkids, nearly covering the famous steps of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The theme for this year's Met Gala, Super Fine, tailoring black style.
It's an honor because it celebrates us.
It was the first Met show exclusively highlighting black designers, and the first in more than 2 decades focused on menswear.
Mine is Chooks Collins, a young black designer. I wanted a male.
Pop star Rihanna debuted her baby bump in her tailored look. This will be her 3rd child with Met Gala co-chair A$AP Rocky.
So I wore myself. Everything is designed by yours truly.
The star-studded night was not without some controversy, as similar to last year, some protesters against the war in Gaza attempted to get near the event. But despite the demonstrators and the dreary weather in New York City, the show still went on. This year's theme celebrated the history of black fashion and dandyism, style as an attitude.
It's really an aesthetic movement that comes out of knowing that no matter what our circumstances are, we can be elegant, we can be our best, we can shine.
And shine they did, making history through flair on fashion's biggest night. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
And we saw stars with Chicago ties on the Met Gala carpet. The Sky's Angel Reese was in this gorgeous look. On her Instagram, she shared that she was wearing more than 107 carats of diamonds from Graf High jewelry. She was wearing 2 diamond rings, earrings, and a bracelet. She looks so beautiful. And Chicago's own Chance the Rapper was there, and he took Donatella Versace as his date. He wore this rimless hat with jewelry from Tiffany's, while Donatella wore a stained glass inspired gown with feathers. And Harvey's own Keke Palmer donned this white Vera Wang gown with black tailored pants and a feather headpiece. According to People magazine, she described her outfit as a little masculine with a feminine tribute and said it was inspired by Dorothy Dandridge. Dandridge, of course, was the first black woman to get nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress. Well, next at 9:30, students from Northwestern and DePaul went to the White House. What they're addressing as Northwestern remains under federal investigation. And it is a space for community and culture. The K. Ryan Center for the Arts is under new leadership, and she is on a mission to make the arts more accessible.
This is CBS News Chicago.
Good Tuesday morning to you. I'm Jackie Kostek. It is 9:30. Thanks so much for sticking with us. Let's begin with your first alert forecast. Meteorologist Laura Bannon joining us now to talk about the beautiful skies. And I mean, you look at that shot and you just say thank you for the beautiful weather.
Yeah, do I like thank you, welcome you?
No, you just say you're welcome.
Yeah.
It's all
and then have a nice day.
Yeah, have a nice day.
Perfect.
That's all
Easy peasy. 74 here today. We do start talking about some cooling changes, not colder changes, but we'll ease our way through a transition for tomorrow, Thursday, 59 degrees for the high. With all these changes, though, we're not expecting much on the rain front, maybe a sprinkle or two tomorrow, 10% chance there. Today's a dry day, mild now, feeling nice, especially with the sunshine. Low 60s and mainly clear skies. Scoot across the state line, that's where we do find the rain and the clouds. Likely we're going to pull in a couple of clouds at times, but mainly looking at sunny skies throughout the day today. Lakefront readings, not much of of a change there. We do have a light lake breeze that may develop here today to give us upper 60s, low 70s lakeside. Elsewhere, farther inland, more 70s, mid 70s, that is. We'll talk more detail about those cooling changes and the wild day we have tomorrow coming up in my next report. Jackie, back
All
to
right,
you.
Laura, thanks so much. A South Suburban family and community are grieving a Homewood Flossmoor High School student killed in a crash. The family sent 18-year-old Tamaya Lyons off to prom this weekend, and she died just hours later. They held a vigil yesterday in her memory. Friends and family gathered in Flossmoor to release balloons for Tamaya. She was killed in a single vehicle crash early Sunday morning on the Sibley Boulevard ramp to the Bishop Ford. Police say Lyons was in the passenger seat and her 16-year-old boyfriend was driving. He was not injured. Her stepdad says that Tamaya was talented, a straight A student. She was on the step team and she wanted to be a DJ.
It's all surreal. I can't believe that, we sent her off and, celebrating her, getting ready to graduate, and now we're celebrating her leaving the earth.
Her last day of school would have been May 15th. Illinois State Police are still investigating. Chicago police are also investigating 2 deaths inside of an assisted living facility in the Grand Crossing neighborhood. So yesterday morning, we brought this to you as breaking news that officers shot and killed a man who had threatened residents with a knife. Hours later, they found a man stabbed to death inside one of the units. Police are not saying if those incidents are related. Well, this morning, students from Northwestern and DePaul are heading to the White House. They're all set to speak out against what some are calling anti-Semitism on campus. Marissa Perlman is joining us live in studio now with those students, what they're saying this morning. Marissa, good morning once again.
Good morning, Jackie. Good to be with you. A big day for those students on Capitol Hill. We've been sharing how Northwestern University has been under the Trump administration's microscope, under investigation for how it's handled reports of anti-Semitism on campus over the last few years. Well, now some students hope to share their experience with lawmakers.
You would not feel safe on campus.
But Northwestern isn't alone. A total of 60 institutions were warned back in March. They were under investigation for violating Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. The Department of Education is calling for the investigation after what they say were explosions of anti-Semitism on college campuses in the wake of the Israel-Hamas war. Now, in the meantime, last month, red graffiti was found sprayed on Northwestern's buildings, including the message, "Death to Israel." Some students feel that message is anti-Semitic, and they want their administration to do something about it.
Being on this trip, we're facing social cost from our peers.
It's just going to do more to remedy the situation.
Also today, DePaul students will speak at the White House. We'll hear from Michael Kaminsky here, a DePaul student who was hurt after 2 masked men attacked him and another student while advocating for conversation about the war. One of the 2 suspects has been arrested. The attack is now being investigated as a hate crime. The 2 students sued DePaul, saying the school did not protect them in the aftermath. Also tomorrow, DePaul University's president will testify before Congress. He'll be one of those university leaders going before the Committee on Education and Workforce. That's tomorrow at 9:15. We'll be following very closely. Jackie, back to you.
Marissa, thanks so much. Also at Northwestern, employees of the university's independent dining vendor have been fired after this dance performance at the school's dining hall. It was set up for Arab American Heritage Month. Some students raised concerns about the T-shirts the performers were wearing. They had the word Palestine in Arabic with a map and keffiyeh over it. A keffiyeh is a traditional headscarf worn across the Middle East. Recently, it's become a symbol of Palestinian identity and the resistance to Israel's occupation. Northwestern says employees who led the event were let go at the university's request. Next, a community arts center in Austin is rolling out a lineup of free spring and summer events. The executive director will join us live to talk about the upcoming programs. And for today's Jumpstart, we're at a local farm focused on healing and therapy, how they're bringing animals and nature into these therapeutic sessions.
A sunny warm up here today, but just wait till you see the weekend forecast. Things are going to get even warmer in the extended. We'll talk about the ups and downs in that warm weekend forecast coming up here in just a little bit.
Welcome back. A Westside community arts venue is hosting a series of free events this spring and summer. The K. Ryan Center for the Arts is a cultural hub serving Chicago's Austin neighborhood. The center has a 900-seat storytelling theater, art gallery, and gathering place. It's under new leadership, and one of the changes includes a lineup of free programming for the community. So joining us live now is Rashida Graham-Washington, the center's executive director. So Rashida, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
If somebody has never heard of the K. Ryan Center for the Arts, what is it all about? I mean, we just mentioned some of the amazing facets of it, but how does it work for folks in the community?
Yes, the way that it works for folks in the community is that it is aligned to Austin's quality of life plan, where we have listened very intently to residents and heard that they want to focus on programming that includes arts at the intersection of economic development and civic engagement. So we have a lot to do, but we do it all through the arts.
I love it. What kind of art forms are we talking about? What kind of art forms happen?
Yes. So through partnerships like the one we have with Chicago Jazz Philharmonic, you can hear the music of Louis Armstrong and Miles Davis in our space. Through the relationship we have with organizations like Ballet 5 and 8, you can experience Black and brown ballerinas to open up Women's History Month. And through our partnership with Old Town School of Folk Music, we bring in West African drumming and dance for the community. We did that just a couple of weeks ago. Our relationship with Decomposed and the artist Jamila Woods just this past week brought a sound bath and an immersion of rest in the arts. And so there's a plethora of different opportunities that we have to offer, but all of them come through listening to the community and then standing up performances, standing up workshops, and inviting civic leaders to come and have conversations, all based on what community members ask us to produce.
You mentioned listening to the community as being so important to your work. Core, which is amazing. You've been in your role as executive director for about a year. Why is it also important to you to bring arts to the community where you were raised? You're actually from Austin.
Yes, I'm a daughter of the Austin community. I started a school in the Austin community over 10 years ago. I started a coffee shop in Oak Park before the pandemic. And so my heart has always been rooted in placemaking that prioritizes the voices, the hearts, and the needs of community residents. And now, so the coffee shop, I think, seated 65 people. The theater is a $5 million renovation that seats 850 people.
850 people, that is amazing.
There's a lot of opportunity, right? There's a lot of opportunity to give the community what they want and to celebrate the fact that Austin knows its story, and now we have these opportunities to stand those stories up in really authentic ways that mirror and reflect what the community is all about.
Does the center also provide opportunities for children or emerging artists in the neighborhood to be able to share and have a platform for their own art?
In so many ways. We have a relationship and a partnership with Uniting Voices, which used to be Chicago Children's Choir. They will be part of our programming. The Black Aura Weekend, the last weekend in June, where we stand up their performances. We have a relationship with Ravinia, so they come in and teach classical music every day of the week, and to the students who attend Catalyst Circle Rock, which is also on the campus with us. We also have a relationship with Lyric Unlimited, so they bring performances into the space, and they always do matinees for student performances as a part of that experience. So the possibilities for young people to access K. Ryan Center for the Arts in meaningful ways is really endless.
Rashida, you guys are just doing so much
We're a little
work.
busy.
Wow, yeah, you're a little busy over there. Really quick, what is the art form that has changed your life in the biggest way? I know you can't answer that quickly, but
well, music, and I would say music because it encompasses sound, rhythm, melody, but also language, literacy, and poetry, and those are my two favorite mediums of all.
All right, Rashida, we have to spend a Jumpstart morning with you.
Yes,
so
please.
it's not going to end here. The conversation doesn't end here. We're going to come out and see it. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. We really appreciate it. And the K. Ryan Center for the Arts in Austin has all of those free events happening in the spring, in the summer, but all year round. So check them out. We're going to send things over now to Laura Bannon with a check of our forecast. Laura, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jackie. Yeah, we've got sunny skies. It's a beautiful day here across Chicago. We're going to be seeing temperatures back up into the 70s with a slight lake breeze. So not expecting a drastic cooling trend there, but do find at least temperatures lakeside near 70 degrees. Now we will see some drastic changes tomorrow as a lake-enhanced cold front arrives, and that's going to push in for falling temperatures, especially through the afternoon into the evening hours. With the timing of that front, that means that we have our daytime highs likely in the mid to late morning, midday hours, and then eventually falling off. Weekend, Mother's Day weekend, looking beautiful. Sunny skies for both days with highs in the mid 70s. Now, looking at the long range models here across Chicago, we are in a favorable position to see temperatures well above average, mostly getting up into the 70s and then potentially several days next week in the lowermost 80s. Our average 67. We're above that for the weekend. Next week, especially low 80s starting on Monday, going through Thursday of next week. And with all that, we're not talking about big rain chances here. Aside from a couple of sprinkle chances, one tomorrow and then another one on Saturday, virtually dry skies expected. Right now, warming up, feeling nice. 60 degrees at O'Hare and Midway, Valparaiso 57, 63 Waukegan, and Kankakee at 61. 74 for the high today. Lakeside readings right around 70. Farther inland today, mid 70s. Aurora and also out toward Joliet 76. Cool and comfortable for tonight, the low 53 degrees. Now tomorrow, an interesting day. So if you look on your phone, you're likely going to see a high of 68 degrees. That's going to be during the midday hours, feeling completely different by the end of the day. Slowly falling temperatures through 3, 4, 5 o'clock. By 7 o'clock down to 55 degrees. So it will be a blustery feel for tomorrow and cooler on Thursday, a high near 60 degrees. And then there comes that warm up for Friday, Saturday into the weekend. Sunny skies, and with that warm up ahead for next week in the low 80s, we keep that dry, sunny trend going once again. Quite the shift over the last couple of weeks, Chris.
Indeed, but we're getting into more summer-like territory here, so we're liking that pattern. You're not going to like the pattern of what I have to say on the traffic. It is absolutely jammed in a multitude of places. Let's go to the maps and look at all the red that's out there, and we've got a bunch of parking lots that are just miles long. The westbound side of Interstate 80 stops before US 30 over to the Des Plaines River Bridge in Joliet until 2:30 this afternoon. One lane westbound is closed there in order to inspect the bridge, and it's going to be like that every day this week. Then they're going to shift to the eastbound side next week. Look at this. We've got a big crash on the southbound I-55 before Weber. Another one involving a motorcycle on the inbound side of the Ryan that has most of the Ryan closed. 3 left lanes are blocked here. And look at the Bishop Ford and I-57. Do not use those. Those are absolutely stopped from 115th coming in. Get on downstream, maybe 83rd, in order to get around that. Use the Skyway. Crash southbound 55 past 53 by the Bolingbrook truck scales. 2 left lanes are blocked off, and once you get to 355, it just stops completely. So maybe you want to go up to Boughton Road and take that over to the west-southwest instead. Have a great day, everybody. Drive safe. Let's be nice to each other. Jackie, back to you.
You too, Chris. Thanks so much. And for today's Jumpstart, we're at a farm in Richmond providing therapy with the help of animals. So Mainstay Therapeutic Farm uses animals and nature to help people build emotional coping skills. Joining us live now are Jean Maris, the Director of Programming and Community Engagement, and Mark Fagan, who's a psychologist and works with Meridian, a Medicaid and Medicare health plan provider. Meridian is actually working with the farm to offer services for eligible members. So Jean and Mark, good morning to you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jean, let's start with a very simple overarching question. What are some of the benefits of animal-assisted therapy?
Well, the real benefit is we're creating relationships, but we're creating it in a safe and welcoming environment with the animals. They're non-judgmental. They're accepting of wherever you are, however you show up every day. They give immediate feedback, and they're just a lot of fun to be with as well, which is really motivating for everyone.
I love it. And can you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing right now? What area of the farm are you in now, and what's taken place?
So we are in our Littles paddock right now. We have students here from one of the McHenry high schools, the Bridges program. They've all got their Proud Across the Bridge shirts on, and they're working on a team building and problem solving activity, and their goal is to keep their little horse Fern here safe in this activity is called Shark Lagoon, and they're trying to keep Fern safe from those sharks that are outside the hula hoop and the yellow sticks. So they're working together to solve that problem and thinking about keeping their animal partner safe.
Oh, I love that. It builds those skills in such an organic way because you're working with animals. It's just so lovely. Let's talk to Mark now. And Mark, I'm really curious about this sort of partnership that Meridian has with Mainstay Therapeutic Farms, because I think when you think of Medicare and Medicaid, you don't often think of maybe this kind of therapy being included in those programs. So how did this partnership even come to be?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And so Meridian is a family of healthcare plans really to address folks in the most need. And one of our products is called Youth Care, and Youth Care is really dedicated to young people that are in the foster care system all across Illinois, and those who were formerly in the foster care system. And so what we know is that young people get therapeutic support in so many different ways. And there's no other way to really get that same kind of therapeutic support than really being able to work with animals. It's really kind of a unique aspect of getting that therapeutic support. And Mainstay just naturally had all those different opportunities for therapeutic support, whether it is around petting the animals or playing games with them or helping to teach them or taking care of them. All those different areas really provide that therapeutic support for young people in a way that you really can't get anywhere else.
So it sounds like it's a partnership. It exists because it works, which is very important. Mark and Jean, I'm wondering if you both can answer just very briefly what it has done for your spirit to be able to see this therapy doing such wonders in people's lives.
Yeah, it gives us a reason to come to work every day. Like you say, we come with a headache, we leave without a headache. We love seeing people together with their animals, just learning new skills, forming new relationships, and just really learning while they're also having fun. It's so fun for all of us.
I imagine there's a lot of
laughs. We love working with Mainstay.
Go ahead, Mark, sorry.
Yeah, we absolutely love working with Mainstay. So many of our young people have grown up in abuse or neglected environments in their lives, and so trusting and taking care of oneself is really more of a challenge for our populations. And so working with Mainstay to kind of build that opportunity to have trust with animals and to use self-soothing techniques really goes a long way in seeing that develop over time for our youth and seeing how that plays out in their own families and also with each other when our young people are interacting together.
Jean Marist and Mark Fagan from Mainstay Therapeutic Farms and Meridian, thank you so much for joining us. My mind directly goes to just the unconditional love that you get from animals and just how powerful that can be. So thank you both.
It is.
Well, next, a look at the stories that we are following today, including the Chicago Urban League's latest State of Black Chicago report. We'll tell you more about that after the break. Welcome back. Here's a look at the stories we are keeping an eye on today. Ready or not, the Real ID deadline is tomorrow. So if you haven't made the switch yet, you'll need to bring your passport to board a domestic flight or enter a federal building. Congress first passed the act requiring Real ID standards for federal identification back in 2005. The race for U.S. Senate now has at least two candidates. This morning, Congresswoman Robin Kelly announced that she will jump in the race for the Democratic nomination to that seat. She'll join Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, who has already picked up a number of key endorsements since her entry to the race just a few weeks ago. The Chicago Urban League is holding its annual policy summit this morning, releasing the 2025 State of Black Chicago report. It's focusing on ways to build black wealth in Chicago. This year's report looks at solutions to encourage public and private partnerships to help fill that gap.
We need to ensure that black business owners have the same networks that other business owners have to allow them to sustain and grow the business.
In addition to business owners, the report said it should focus not just on workers, but on making sure there are family-sustaining careers available in the community.
And a really nice looking day today. Highs in the 70s, lakeside closer to 70 degrees, but out at Chicago Hare, 74. We're cooling down through Wednesday, Thursday, and then looking at a sunny, warm weekend. Highs in the 70s. Nice weather for Mother's Day, 75.
We'll take it. And then I'm eyeing that 82 degrees on Monday.
That is just the beginning, too.
Just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
Oh,
it's
no.
happening.
Is this when it's going to get too hot?
Hey, I'm ready to complain about it being too hot.
Let's give
At this
us
rate.
a couple days of complaints about the heat, and then we'll slide back into the 70s, hopefully. Laura, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us here on your local news at 9.